Good afternoon and welcome back to Mason Speaks. My name is Mason, your host, and today I'm joined by Mr. Luke Baker. How are you, Luke?
I'm very good. What about yourself?
I'm all good, thank you, Luke. I'm all good. Now, anyone who's not seen you before, they might have done sort of anyone who lives in the city I live in, they might know you. Probably a lot of them do know you for, for good reasons or not, we don't know, but they probably know you. And then people that you, where the place you live in now as well, if they're watching this, and some of your followers, if they're watching this, they'll recognise you. But do you want to just give us a little quick couple sentence intro about who you are?
Yeah, I'm Luke. My stage name is LXKE TRIX. It's essentially magician, psychological mind reader, but basically I'm a mind reader who can't actually read minds. That's essentially what it is. And I go around touring my show when COVID is safe, and I perform in theatres, and I also run. Well, we're just opening a shop on the side.
That's awesome. And Luke, obviously, me and you know each other from a little while ago, from
Yeah.
when you used to live in Worcester. Um, obviously, some of the things that used to sort of occur when you were in Worcester, I guess you're probably not the most proud of now, but they were some funny stories, I guess.
I guess.
I mean,
Yeah.
sort of most notably, some of you will recognise Luke for being the guy who gets thrown out of the shopping centre. Do you want to elaborate a bit on what happened there, Luke?
Yeah, basically. I guess it was sort of like not clout chasing, but trying to get viral video or whatever. Like, long story short, I realised that the security in at least Worcester, if not Birmingham as well, to say the least, were quite pathetic. And I, to say the least, I probably pulled on a few of their strings a bit too much.
I'd say that was an understatement. Yeah.
Yeah. But also just to kind of make a point, I think I would record videos, and quite a few of them went quite viral on YouTube and TikTok and all that. And whether people think is good or bad, I guess it falls into that thing as there's no such thing as bad publicity in a way. But yeah, but essentially I would wind up security guards and make a few viral videos out of it.
No, I mean, the
and
security.
then you go to jail.
Yeah, and nearly. I mean, I remember one time we were in town. I sort of stayed out of this troublesome mayhem that you caused as much as I could.
Yeah,
but,
keep yourself safe. Yeah.
But I was there. I was witness to it, if you like, and an off-duty police officer.
Just came and grabbed me,
Do you remember
didn't
that? He came and grabbed you and put you under arrest, and you told him, you said, no, you can't put me under arrest. He said, you got to call my mum first, didn't you?
No, I remember saying I think it was call my solicitor that time.
You said you can't, something like that. Hey, you can't arrest me until you've spoken to someone on your behalf.
Yeah, it was purely because I let him put me under arrest eventually, but I wanted to see proof because, as you'll vouch for me, he wasn't in uniform or anything, was
he
he?
wasn't, no.
He just walked over to me. Eventually, he did show me ID, so I was a bit screwed. But when the pathetic, to say the least, Worcester's police force send out the same community support officers. So if you wind up people, especially in Worcester, you'll get used to the same community support officers coming out. And they didn't really do anything, to be honest. They let me off the hook a lot. But if for anyone in Worcester, I think you were probably there one or two times. The Hive Library was probably where most of the stuff blew up. Like, there's a video on TikTok, it's on like 200k views at the Hive Library. And yeah, I got put in a holding cell and had to face 3 court sentences for it. That luckily, due to me applying with the rules of going to certain meetings that I can't say who the meetings were with for reasons, but by complying with those meetings, they let me off the hook without a sentence at all. But I think there's that stage where it goes from a bit of fun and joking around to, oh shit, this is getting a bit too far almost.
Yeah, definitely. I think you realise that at some point along the way. I mean, you say that the security guards and some of the officers in Worcester are, you say pathetic.
Yeah. So although I'm very much I believe in justice. So although I don't, from the age of about 14, I've studied law, and that's where a lot of that came from. When I saw people, like, I won't name them because they are sort of Asian, they probably won't be named out loud, but a lot of these sort of people getting into trouble around Worcester, and a lot of the time they weren't really like anything bad, really. It was just what teenagers do, having a laugh, saying a joke, or shouting out one comment, and then getting banned for like 2 years. And I was like, you can't really do this. And they were trying to do laws, and I was like, these aren't laws. So I studied it, and I was trying to make a bit of a point and a stand. And I guess I did to a certain extent, but I'd even say now, although I'm not recording those videos, I'm still in sort of the backlight. I still look into certain cases here and then when I think stuff's gone too far. And in fact, I'm still taking up the one or two of the things from the Hive still to this day. One or two of the things where I got assaulted by them. But in a way, I look at it and I dropped a lot of the cases and charges because what you've got is you're provoking them, you will get a response. Like, not all the time I was provoking them. Like, you'll vouch for me. Sometimes I would just walk through Worcester and security would recognise you. But it's one of those things. I think I can't really walk throughout Worcester now without either security or just normal people. They'll go, "Oh, it's Lee Baker." Like,
yeah. I mean, again, I'm gonna say I don't think that the officers or the security guards in Worcester are pathetic. In my opinion, I think they do a quality job. I think a lot of the time you push them to their limits, and I'll give you that. And
yeah,
sometimes it when you're in a situation and you sometimes, and I'm not saying the officers or security guards did that, but sometimes as me as a person, if I'm pushed to my limits, I won't know how to act. Personally, I think the officers do a great job, and I think looking at you now, Luke, I think you can say that it probably did help how they sort of if the justice system, if you like, had turned around and put you in prison, you know, you'd be a completely different person now than you are.
Yeah, I think just because I had a bad experience in the past with the police, it sort of twisted how I approached towards them.
Yeah.
Like, I would take back the word pathetic. I'd say a certain few of them were pathetic. There's loads and loads of police out there that are quality and just serving their duty and jobs, and they do a really good job. And at the end of the day, I can't really slay a bad word against them because they've helped me as well as not helped me. So, there's many, and they do just do their job as with that. They could have easily. The police wanted to nick me. They did. So they could have easily just, sentenced me and put the charges against me. As you know, there would have been a lot of charges they could have put against me, especially like public order acts and all that. So I think they let me off with a slap on the wrist, basically. So
yeah,
and it has helped 100%. Like,
but it's great that you can recognize that, because obviously as teenagers, we all, not everyone, but a lot of people go through a stage of sort of almost rebelling and that kind of thing, and then they come out the other side of it, and you recognize that perhaps some of the stuff that you did do wasn't the best. And it's not to say that some of the reactions other people gave you were okay, but some of the things that we do as teenagers, I mean, I'm not going to go into it, but we spoke about it before we started recording. There was an instance where I had been dealt with by a security guard, and that's in the past now, and I won't go into it because it's not necessary now, but it's and I've since apologized for how I acted with the security guards, and I can say that me and the security guard are now on good terms. Actually, we speak quite often, and for me, I think how they treated me, how they acted with me, has what helped me get. Cause personally, for me, I had a month or two where I was in a really weird sort of stage in my life. I was almost in a bit of a rebellious stage, and they snapped me out of it. I thought, I can't do that anymore, because that's the kind of thing that happens if I do. And it really helped.
I also think, like, it's not always like, well, for me, it was almost, it wasn't even a viral video to begin with. It was me trying to make a stand up, but it's also who you hang about with. It's what the scene is, and it's always like, I think for me, what I've learned is, unless you strategize and write out set business plans and set goals and the dates you want to achieve those goals by, you'll fall into this pattern, and it's not always drugs, so it's not always hanging out with wrong people, but you'll fall into a pattern of putting yourself off or doing something else that isn't going to achieve that set goal, if that makes sense. So like for me, I set a date, and if I haven't achieved it by that date, I know that I'm slacking to a certain extent, and I think that's the best way to try and achieve the next step.
Yeah, I mean, sort of planning ahead is definitely a key thing in anything that you want to do with yourself professionally or even personally. If you've got a plan, you want a way of doing it and a method, then you're more likely to succeed than if you're just going for it without a clue of what you're doing. And that's great that you realise that. Because how old are you now, Luke, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 18.
You're 18, and obviously, so I'm only a year older than you, but from what I how you used to be and how you are now, I can say that there's a huge difference, Luke, and that's a credit. That's a credit to yourself and how you've managed to snap yourself out, if you like, of a stage in your life where you were perhaps a bit over the top with some things. I'm sure you can agree with that.
I think it was a weird stage though, because at that stage I was performing a fucking lot, and it's like if you'd seen me on stage, I think I was similar to what I am now, but it was almost like you got these sort of like two personalities, and back then it was almost like I was performing Luke 24/7 almost.
Yeah.
So even when I was out on the streets, it was almost like I couldn't snap out of the Luke tricks. I was performing so much, and if you see me on stage, it's quite a cocky act, I guess. So the cockiness sort of stuck with me, and I guess being on drugs and stuff didn't help at all either. So it's like the mixture all blended together. But if you see me on stage, I guess I was just in performance mode all the time. And if you had a conversation with me back then, it was very hard for me to have a conversation that wasn't to do with some sort of like performing in a way. It was always, I'm performing this, I'll show you this, and I don't really know how to describe it as such, it without like really going deep, but it was such a weird sort of phase in my life, to be honest. Really weird.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I say, we all go through something. Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. I mean, everyone goes through a stage in their life where they're stuck in a loop almost. It's sort of rinse and repeat, and obviously everyone's stage like that will be different. And yours, obviously, you had struggles in it as well. You had other factors that weren't making it easy. Obviously, at the time you were about 16 and you were performing all over the place. I'm sure that must have taken a toll on you, like you said.
Yeah. It's also like back then when you're 15, 16, and I was getting some crazy opportunities that most 15, 16-year-olds weren't getting, like touring and performing with some quite decent names on the circuit in like magic and comedy and all that. And it's almost like if you do a 30-night tour, and every night you're getting that clapping and that applause and that appreciation, and then you come off after those 30 nights and you're just back in your bedroom, it's like that mental health thing of going, shit, those 30 nights I had all that appreciation and now I've got basically fuck all, and it's back to this normal. It's that sort of mindset. If you don't come to reality to it, it can really mess you up. And I think that high of being performing, I guess, is kind of why I had to find other avenues to get that high when I wasn't performing. Because when you're on the stage, you're in that limelight and you've got the clap appreciation. And with all my mental health issues I had anyway, I guess I just needed a bit of, maybe it just was wrong time for that to be happening.
I mean, as a child, you things don't always. You can't always comprehend and understand things as well as you can as an adult. And I think to be at that age and to be put under, because what it is put under so much pressure to constantly perform at a high level. And obviously you did that.
Yeah.
Like you say, when you come off that, you've got such a buzz, and so it's like a drug in itself, having that performance. Because when you're on stage, you've got 100, 200 people looking at you, and they're all there to look at you and to watch what you're doing and appreciate it. Like you said, it can be really hard then just to snap out of it. I mean, and I can see what you're saying about how you tried to find that buzz that you got in other ways, and obviously that could that for a lot of people that could be a detrimental sort of thing. It could really take their life for for a downturn, but you seem to have managed to bring yourself back out of
Yeah,
that, obviously with
yeah,
help from those
100%.
around you, I guess.
And also, I guess the other shining light being back when you're younger is when you're 15, 16, there's already, I think you'll agree, especially since 2016, I'd say in the last, sorry, within like the last 5 years, I'd say especially, how the media portrays today's society with drugs and alcohol is it's presented as something that is good and
Yes,
not
yeah,
bad. And it's presented as something that is cool. It's in almost every single music video now.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
awful. And it's presented as something so cool. So when you're in a performing or anything in the entertainment industry, one, looking for the high, but also it's almost like fitting in almost. It always feels like every photo shoot, there's cannabis in it now. And it's like, it was that sort of like fitting in. And I just, even sort of last year to the start of the year, I was still sort of trying to like copy that sort of thing. But the reason I sort of stopped was I actually had a really, really good conversation. I won't say who it was with, but he is very well known. And he basically said, the only way you actually will get somewhere is if you do something completely different to everyone that's around you. That I'd already heard multiple times, but he wrote out a business plan that he had followed, and I looked at it, and to get to where he was, it had worked. So I was like, I'll try this, and it didn't happen much, and it still hasn't happened loads, but it has helped me because I've followed it through myself, and I've hit the goals that I wanted to, and I've hit the targets that I wanted to. And slowly I've gone off those things, and I've been more focused on myself and uh, paying my way and all that sort of stuff.
yeah. I mean, I think what you say about it being almost it's made into a good thing, as you say. It's people see it as a cool thing to do, as you mentioned as well,
Yeah,
and as a
it's seen as a going out activity now.
exactly. And when you're at a certain age, or when you're at any age, but more so when you're at a younger age, you're very easily influenced by things. And I mean, for me, I'm sort of on the other side of the coin. I've never had any interest in anything like that. You know, I've never been drunk. I've never tried any of these drugs or anything like that. I've never done anything like that. And for me, I'm happy in how I am, and I don't feel the need or anything like that to touch that stuff. And other people, but that saying that, I've been through a lot in my life to make me realize that I don't need to be influenced as easily by other things.
Yeah.
So, but other people do get influenced, you know, fairly easily, and some people do it to fit in as well, as you mentioned. And as a child in that environment, I mean, how damaging can that be?
Oh, it is so damaging. And when you're in it, you don't give a flying monkeys of how damaging it is until afterwards. And the biggest thing I'd say is don't do it, because afterwards, when you're looking back, that's when you're the most depressed. And it's not because you're like, oh, I took those drugs, because then you think you'd be more depressed while taking them, and that's why you're taking it. Not at all. It's afterwards when you see that, oh shit, I didn't care, but actually I broke my family up, I broke this up, I spoiled this, I ended up, I was homeless for nearly a year. All this sort of stuff. When you look back at it in the moment, even when I was homeless in October when it was freezing cold and all that, and even then in the moment I was like, this is living life. And then when you look back, you go, nah, that's not living life, that's hitting rock bottom. But when you're at rock bottom, it's like, oh, I'm living life. But you look back and go, no, it wasn't. I've hit rock bottom there.
Yeah.
And when you look at what that has done and how it broke up my family, luckily I've sorted stuff. I've started to mend bridges over this last year and stuff like that. But you don't want to be in the situation where you've got to mend all those bridges because of the years that you've done, literally not just fucking up your own life, but messing up other people's as well.
Yeah, no, I think how you've managed to come to the point in your life where you can realize that is great. And like I say, it's a credit to you. I mean, not everyone is able to realize it, especially so young, that what they do, the actions that they have, can have a rippling effect on the world around you.
I think I'd have to disagree. I think everyone does realize it. I think people don't want to admit to it. That's the problem. That's what I faced. Okay. I personally didn't want to admit to it, because the minute you admit to it, you admit, oh, I've messed everything up. And
so it was almost like a guilt thing. So you knew what you were doing, but you didn't want to admit it in your own mind or to anyone else, because then you would feel guilty.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that
That was me. That was me personally. It's different with everyone, I guess, but yeah.
Okay. No, that is really interesting that you think, you thought about it like that, because to me again, like I said, I've not been involved as much in that, well, not been involved at all in that sort of scene, and so I'm an outsider looking in. So it's interesting to see how it's not the fact that you don't realize what you're doing, because you do, but it's the fact that you're not willing to admit to yourself that what you're doing is wrong, because I guess that would mean that you'd probably stop, or possibly stop, and you don't want to, I guess.
Yeah. My way of stopping was purely, I realized when I had time free that I would take up stuff like that. So if I can distract myself, and this is another bad thing, because you can become an addict to anything. You can even become an addict to distracting yourself. You distract yourself too much, you work too much, you can get really ill. And that's what I did last year. And that's the exact opposite. I worked myself overdrive to distract myself. And I wasn't ill in the sense of, blood and that. I was ill mental health wise. I felt utter crap. Like, it's like, I didn't touch a drug. In fact, I touched hardly any alcohol. But the overwork of it kills you the other way. So it's finding that balance where you're in the middle and you're distracting yourself a decent amount of time so you're not doing it. But then you have good, just good people around you as well to fall back on.
And that is important, to have a support bubble around you, as Boris Johnson would say. There was a support bubble around you, or some sort of comfort around you is really important. But we focus a lot about sort of the past and some of the negative things that happen. But let's talk about you now. I mean, you're creating this amazing thing for yourself. Like you said, you're when COVID's sort of died down a bit, you'll be back at performing. And you said you've got
100%.
You've got a magic shop as well, and you're doing really well for yourself. I mean, is there any one thing you could pick out that you say, that is my favorite thing I'm doing at the minute?
I've got a show called The Only Magician Who Looks Adopted. It's a good one. It's a show about how my parents are both cousins. No, I'm only joking. But it's touring all around the UK, April and May, in COVID secure venues, so they are social distance. So hopefully we'll be back to social distancing by then. If not, they're going to get pushed back to the autumn so the show can go ahead, because I really love this show. Plus, it's taken me a year to write, so I've got to take it out.
That was a joke that you used to tell me that you used to start off your shows with. It was something about...
the really bad one.
Is it really bad? I can't remember. Maybe.
The joke. The opening joke that I will give away just to get people hooked. It is, "Hi guys, my name's LXKE TRIX. I will be joking about a lot of stuff tonight, but
no, it's not racist, homophobic, or anything like that. It's nothing like that. But it was I couldn't possibly put that on this, because if I have any hopes of ever being monetized, that would surely stop it. So you probably haven't heard that joke. You probably haven't heard the joke you just told me,
but come and see the tour. Then
come and see the tour, and then you might hear it if you're inclined so like that. So but anyway, back to what you were saying. So you're doing this tour about about you, and
I'm really excited for this tour because I've done loads of theatre shows, but I've done 2 tours in the past, and both of them have been magic shows. The first one was called Totally Tricked. It was just an hour magic show, basically. The second one was a show basically just based around one magic trick, really, one dangerous magic trick. And this show, it really dives deep. It is a storytelling show more than a magic show. There's loads of magic in it, but it's a show about... I know it's a joke, but it's a show basically about my adoption. It's about my upbringing, mental health. It's got tricks about my family in it, tricks about my missus in it. There's tricks about everything through my life in it. So it's like a storytelling show. I'm really proud of it, to be fair. And I just wanted to do something a bit more different and something a bit interesting. And I thought, what have I really got? That's the only thing that's interesting. So I'll write something around it.
If anyone can't tell, Luke as a person is a very funny kind of guy. He genuinely, and I mean this in all sincerity, when he's in a room, you're just laughing the whole time, because that's just the kind of personality he's got. Thank you. I know that's all right. And I haven't personally been able to see one of your shows yet, because the timeline hasn't come. And when we sort of got to know each other, it wasn't too long after that the pandemic sort of hit. So I haven't been able to see any of his shows, but I know from how you are as a person that this personality does come through in your shows. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, 100%.
And anyone who's watching this podcast now should surely be thinking, I want to see one of these shows, because, like I say, it'll just be an hour or an hour and a half of pure comedy, and you'll be laughing and listening the whole time, along with being entertained
100%.
by the magic as well. Because I mean, you used to do all sorts of things. I mean, when we were in town, you used to pull out little magic tricks every now and then. You used to do one where you're chewing a piece of gum. That was quite a good one.
Yeah, we got chewing gum magic in the show. It's regurgitation. Basically, it's basically Little Peep / BDSM meets magic all in one show. and you're rolling your eyes at laughter. Exactly. There you go. That's a show. What is there not to like?
There we go. I mean, if anyone wants a formula for a show, we've got that to see. I think that'll probably be the promo for this episode on Twitter. It's going to be you explaining the formula for your show. That is brilliant.
Yeah. I've got a massive passion for music, and
I thought you were going to say for BDSM then.
You guys could say BDSM. Who knows? But long story short, I've got a massive passion for music, even though I don't do it. Massive passion for listening to music and going to gigs and stuff. So I wanted to do like an emo magic act. So that's basically what it is, essentially. And that's once again doing something that's a bit different, so you're not fitting in with every other magician. That's what I'd say.
That's great. That's great, Luke. And in terms of going forward, what are your next steps? What are you hoping for in the near future? I'll put you on the spot a little bit here, but if you have one goal for the
5 years,
let's go for 5 years. What's your goal for 5 years time? Where are you going to be?
Be 5 years older.
5 years smarter.
5 years smarter. Yeah, still on doing this if I can. That I'm sure I will be able to. And just like the main thing I've learned is you're always learning, so don't be too much of a cocky prick, Luke. And I think it's that fact that in 5 years' time, if I can gain 5 more years of knowledge by listening to other people, I would love to do that than just trying to shut them off and say, no, I know how to do it for myself. And also, I'd just like to play bigger theatres, meet bigger people, keep doing what I'm doing, basically, just on a bigger level. That would be the idea. As long as I make money and can still live from doing this, I would do it, basically.
And of course, you're happy with doing it and enjoying it too.
I think 100%.
Luke, it's been great talking to you. I think that is a really nice way. I like to end all on a nice point. This is a really nice way of sort of coming to an end of this podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you again. And hopefully at some point soon we'll be able to see each other in person again after this COVID stuff. Did you want to take a minute or so just to drop any of your sort of links or promote yourself at all? Yeah.
I'm on Instagram. It is at LXKE_TRIX. I'm also on Facebook. That's the same. I've got a website that you'll be able to find both of them with all the tour dates on, merchandise. All that is on the website. That's about it, really.
Perfect. I'll have all of those links from you if you can, and you can send it to me, and I'll put them in the description.
Yeah.
Honestly, if anyone gets a chance to check out Luke's sort of shows when they're back on, or just check out his Facebook, he is a quality performer, and you can tell that from how he is in his regular self. So, Luke, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
You too.
Everyone else who's been listening, thank you very much for tuning in. This has been Mason Speaks. Sorry, this has been Mason from Mason Speaks, and I've been joined by Luke, as in Luke Tricks, and thank you very much for watching.